Okay, hi, good afternoon. It's Alex Whiting here from MyTech. I'm joined by Mark Jolly at Zebra Technologies. Today's session is Technology Solutions for Business, Reducing Human-to-Human Contact During a Global Pandemic. And just before we get going, just ask you to note that we've got the Q&A function running with today's session. So if you've got any questions, there's someone in the background that will bring them up for us at the end of the session. The session is 45 minutes, but we should get through what we want to get through sooner than that to allow for questions and any thoughts. We welcome any feedback as well afterwards. It is also being recorded, so if you wanted a copy afterwards, then you can reach out to myself as well, or through the festival and get that recording. So I'll start the session by introducing us a bit more formally. So I'm on the left. I run an organisation called MyTech, and we're providers of mobile computing and software solutions for the supply chain. And what we're trying to do with our business is allow organisations to understand where technology best fits their supply chain and where we can provide innovation and new solutions to help them grow what they're doing within their business and become more efficient with it. And Mark, if you're there, if you could just give a quick couple of seconds on yourself.
Thanks, Alex. Hi, everybody. Yeah, Mark Jolly. I'm the sales director at Zebra. We are a hidden organisation that you probably use every day of the week and support Alex and the team at MyTech in deploying solutions into customers all over the UK.
So what I thought I'd start with is just giving you an idea of the sorts of problems that we're solving, or at least we believe need to be solved in today's world using technology. I think that certainly when I first started working in this space, we were looking at how you would capture data and the best way to capture data some 15, 20 years ago. And I think nowadays it's more about not just capturing the data, but what you do with the data as you move forward. And I think in today's age, we're now thinking about how we start to create what I would call contactless situations where you can create data or receive data or manage data in a way that allows you less contact with it, perhaps using some form of AI function, or indeed less human intervention with the collection of data. So some problems that we come across quite a lot that I just wanted to kind of try and attach a solution to. So asset management and the visibility is key. We're spending less time on site with these assets, and there's more assets on site as well. So the ability to capture what we've got and where it is and what we're doing with it is really important. But we don't necessarily, certainly in today's world, don't have the ability to be on site as often as we'd like. So the ability to catch that remotely or through other technologies is really important. That technology that we deploy to manage those assets or track those assets, we need to be able to remotely support the technology we put into the space as well. So remote management is really important, and tracking of those technologies that we're using is important too. As we start to layer different technologies into a business that already has lots within it, it's important that we've got that line of sight and that visibility and the tools to help support that. Clearly, as we move forward, everybody's trying to reduce their spend and increase their efficiency. Those are two priorities that we hear a lot about, and a record of contact between humans and assets is really important, and we're hearing about that a lot. So we're going to talk a little bit today about how using tags and the tracking of assets we can report on the status and increase awareness. We're going to talk a little bit about how you can use a single dashboard to understand that environment. We're going to hopefully, through explaining some of what we've done, show you how you can make best use of what you've got, or best use of the technology, and just manage the availability of your assets better. And then finally, how your data-driven actions can work, and the process-driven work that you do, how can you keep a record of that and try and manage the uptime? And we've come at it ever so slightly differently, in that we thought we'd just, depending on the varied people that we'd have in the talk, we thought we'd look at specific markets or areas and give you some idea of where Zebra's technology has indeed solved these problems, or gone some way to solving these problems. So the next few slides will explain a few case studies and a few examples of where it's worked. So I'm going to mute and I'm going to hand over.
Thanks, Alex. If you can click through the slides to build the whole slide for me, that'd be great. So the first vertical that we're looking at is around hospitality, and for us, hospitality could be anything that involves people and the ability to serve them in different scenarios. The ability to track who's there, where they are, where the status of the assets are, but also how you transact in a more contactless way. I think we see a huge growth within festivals and within sporting arenas around removing that person-to-person contact in football stadiums, for instance, today with the removal of people at the gates to use ticketing. We see this growing, and contactless payment in music festivals also is something that we're seeing. But that also can be driven by elements such as digitized loyalty, using handheld scanners to scan people's QR codes rather than hand over the mobile phone to cashiers. If you think about a large supermarket chain that they have a loyalty program, today they have scanners on the tills to allow you to scan your own. Every 5 seconds that they can save improves that efficiency and also stops that contact in the current COVID scenario of handing over mobile phones between two people. Items such as food labeling for safety to make sure the right ingredients are shown, and also now for drive-through line busting with the growth of takeaways. You think about people that are queuing up to collect food, the ability to have people at the side taking orders, and also it might be drive-through here, but it also could be within a retail food store taking orders. Now it's all served at the table. So we see things like that. The biggest one around inventory management, making sure that all the equipment, food, items are available in a hospitality, especially when it's a pop-up scenario. Not having the right products at the right place will mean you're not able to fulfill your customer's requirement. Maybe that's as simple as making sure you've got enough sausages for your hot dogs or burgers, etc., or making sure you've got enough beer to fulfill the alcohol stand. So all of these things allow it. But then as well with self-service, this could be things of kiosks, it could be mobile point of sale, it could be allowing people to pay for their products throughout their mobile loyalty application or through a web browser, and adding that ability to do that. So all those applications we can support with, we can do all that ability to track and trace your assets. So a lot of different opportunities within hospitality, and technology can certainly help improve efficiencies within there. If we move on, Alex, to the next slide and look at another vertical, and this time we're looking at manufacturing. So here in manufacturing, with the rise within COVID and the ability to have people working in their environments, we need to improve efficiency and also track where assets and people are. So using real-time RFID technology, we can have again the right asset at the right time. You can see some use cases here, whether it's on the bottom pallet tracking, making sure the right pallet's gone on the right truck. When you have an increase in supply chain, you need to make sure that you put the right asset in the right place, or you can find it quickly. Maybe you need an item to be picked and you need to find it within a quick time frame. Using RFID, we can use that. Also, that allows us to do things like asset maintenance, log when an item needs repairing, especially critical within healthcare. Here you need to make sure you service an item at the right time, but no different to manufacturing. If an item needs to have a health check every 6 months, you need to be able to walk around that site and check when items are needed to be done. Or if you need to produce assets that are just in time, to make sure you have the right parts on the line sign replenishment in order to allow it. It could be a small asset inventory or a large asset inventory. If you look at this use case of the military, tracking guns, equipment, weapons, and all the equipment to make sure that the right person's taken the right equipment to have on them when they leave. All of these things we do to allow automated process. And it also could link to do things such as AGV or cobots. Having robots working within the manufacturing plant is great, but you need to know and track where they go. So working with some of our partners, such as Fetch or Locus, we're linking up with those guys to automate robotics within a warehouse to allow you to do that. We also can do stuff such as heads-up display or augmented reality to allow your workers to have more efficient training. So a lot of the scenarios in supply chain or manufacturing is around labor and having the quickest time to train these people. Using technology and removing the pen and paper allows you to speed up their training. You can do applications in local language. Maybe you have a multicultural workforce, and using technology allows you to speed up that onboarding process. So again, using technology in these scenarios, there's a lot of opportunity to improve your workforce and your efficiency and processes. We carry on, Alex, onto retail, and probably one of the biggest affected within the COVID scenario is clearly front of store retail. I'm sure we've all seen the change in how people adapt and are buying items. We've had a huge growth in e-commerce. Zebra itself provides equipment to the world's largest e-commerce providers, and the amount of equipment that we've had to put into place to improve the supply chains has been dramatic over this period of time. But also that means front of store retail is changing, and the front of store retail stores and the brick and mortar stores have to change and adapt. So having click and collect, the ability to fulfill from your front of store retail. So if you have, let's take example could be jeans, and you have a warehouse that's a central storage that today is your online fulfillment center, but you have 500 stores across the country who have jeans in each of these stores. If you don't have the jeans in your central warehouse today, most of the online stores say it's out of stock, but you may have an excess of these items across your retail inventory across your whole stores. So how do you allow to fulfill from a retail store using technology? Well, we're using RFID and knowing real-time inventory visibility in each store to allow a customer to do that. But also the ability to click and collect and the facilitation of that in a store. So when you arrive at store, the person can find that item in the back of your warehouse. They can then give that to the person. But then around the returns process as well. Today, the returns process is either you post it back to a central store, or you have a returns kiosk at your brick and mortar store. So maybe using a electronic kiosk for returns does two things. It removes that contact to contact with the people behind the tills, but it also improves the efficiency of bringing that returns to store. So a Dropbox solution, we're seeing a great increase in around retail, and love to speak to you if you have a retail store and are looking at a way you can improve your returns. Again, knowing when someone's returned an asset, they have to go into a quarantine process or being cleaned. So making sure that process has been done to make sure there's no COVID traces being pushed back through the retail environment. Other things that we've seen are things like interactive price checkers. You can see here a simple scenario of knowing how much an item costs by an interactive screen. We've seen deployments of those over this scenario, and also the increase of the personal shopper solution. I'm sure you've all seen these in the Tesco's, the Waitrose, the Sainsbury's, Asda's, etc. These are products that Zebra provide, but also we're seeing a growth in other sectors such as DIY and other large picking processes that people want to pick and then check out seamlessly. This could also be done with a mobile phone application, of course, if you're buying one or two assets, and that's an increase we also see. Collaboration between staff store within a store or within DC to store is also what we see. So here, collaboration could be using a mobile phone, using a smartphone, or even a walkie-talkie to integrate with the shopper as well as the worker at home. We've seen things like that, and also things like price reduction. So the picture here at the bottom shows someone doing price markdown, going along the shelf and doing a price markdown. These are all the things that we can do, and we can track and see where people are in the store. So to remove the tannoy, to say there's a spillage in an aisle or that someone needs assistance, we can use the technology that's equipped to the person to have the right person at the right time doing the right action. So all these things within a front of retail, we've seen a growth in, and we would love to support you if you have a use case within any of these things. Clearly, the customer loyalty thing within hospitality is fully aligned to this. So again, having a smartphone with a loyalty application can allow you to track and trace these things through. So lots of options there, and lots of automation and tracking and tracing things that have been added within COVID. If we move on to the next one, Alex, some of the things we see within logistics, and within logistics, this could be the last mile drop, or it could be the full supply chain element. The top picture shows one of the things that we launched this year, which is a heads-up display scenario, which allows a worker to see visually what the task is, and allows him to see where he needs to pick off a virtual picking solution. So they may be used to picking with paper or off a pick by light solution, but here we can go to the next level and do an augmented view of what they're meant to be picking. That might link with a small lightweight scanning terminal, like you can see on the lady's hand here. This allows them to pick quickly, and you can give a scanner to every single one of your workers to allow them to pick more efficiently than maybe using a paper scenario. This is great if you have a warehouse worker and you have less people, reduce cost, all those things you can do. Other things we've seen is around increase in volume of pallets. So this could be you need to implement extra people to move the pallets, or look at using electronic forklifts. But you also might need to know where that asset is within the warehouse. So using active RFID, we can track the forklift, we can track the pallet, and we can see exactly where all these pallets are in a warehouse to give visibility of where items need to be, where they need to go on a cross dock, and also manage that whole warehouse. Maybe you have trucks that are coming in, you need to know which door those trucks are going to. All those things we can do. Another thing that's been really key is making sure your staff have this 1.5 meter gap, and having the visibility of when people have broken that, and have a full contract tracing tree. So Zebra, along with Mytech, launched a solution to allow you to do a full visibility of your warehouse, equipping all your workers with a mobile computer. We track and see who's been in contact with each other, provide a report, and provide proximity alerts between the two people. This is great when you want to then see if someone's rang in and said, I think I've been affected. You can see who has been bundled together to allow them to see that. So lots of options there. We have a proximity solution which we'd love to share and show you if that's relevant. Other things could be around making sure the right pallet's gone on the right truck. We've done solutions here using Bluetooth, using wearable technology, and also passive RFID to make sure your supply chain's as efficient as possible. What you don't want to do is get the wrong pallet ending up at the wrong site, and then you have to return it all the way along. So we also have a solution which allows us to see how full a truck is. So if a truck needs to be filled more efficiently, we can provide that analytics and that data to show them exactly what's there and drive that efficiency. Alex, should we move on to the next slide?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. So I thought what we do here, we talked there around some scenarios to say clearly there's technologies available in each of those areas. I want to add as well that they're also transferable. What we're seeing with a lot of our customers, or indeed people we're talking to, is a situation in hospitality actually lends itself well to something that's happening in retail now, where people are more aware of reduced contact or are trying to do more from a field mobile perspective. And we're also seeing that across perhaps a field service organisation. So a lot of the technologies that we're providing are interchangeable between different areas of business. So, for example, field service engineers requiring tablets to go out and do their job, or perhaps they can't visit a site. So the ability for you to send a customer a heads-up display that allows you to see the customer's view, and actually using some software provided by Mitek and Zebra, you can interact with that customer through a separate lens and show them through their glasses what buttons they should be pressing or wires they could be putting in. So there are lots of solutions coming through as well that will allow you to reduce contact and, apply more innovation and perhaps reduce cost as well. It's all well and good providing these technologies and using them, but you really want sight of them. So at the end of the day, you want to be able to see what technology you've got and where it is. So the example we've got here is the Zebra MotionWorks platform. And what you can see in the top screenshot is the layout of a building, and you can see exactly where tags are. Now, the tags could be assets, they could be people, they could always be moving targets. And what you've got the ability to do is group those tags and understand where they are, how long they've been there, and what status they're in. And there are up to 11 preset rules you can have with that. So some real flexibility. And as tags move through, you can start to see them moving through the building. And again, in the bottom screenshot, it's highly configurable and really flexible and easy to use. So it's supposed to be a platform that you can build on. So you may well start in one area of the business, but you want to start using technology in another area. Well, that's okay. You can just take some extra beacons. You can configure them yourself very easily using Zebra's tools, and you can drag and drop them into your building plan and create a new network. You can test whether they're reading. You can change the functionality and change the strength in which they read at. So a really flexible solution. So the idea is that you are able to understand what you're getting out of it. It supports passive and active tags. And when we talk about passive and active tags, if you don't know, that's perhaps a passive tag is a tag that you're going to read using a machine. So you bring the tag to life. So every time you run a machine, it runs through a machine or a choke point, or you use an RFID device to read it, it brings it to life. And active tags, more like Bluetooth tags, or perhaps an ultra wideband tag as well for outdoor use. So lots of different ways in which you can deploy this technology. There's lots of different technologies available, and we'll come on to that in a sec. And then clearly there's one platform to allow you to view all your assets. As you can probably see, there's reporting available. So again, you can run reports, look at the history of assets, where they've been, what they've been up to. There's alerts you can set. So we're working with someone at the moment who wants to know how long a particular composite has been outside of the freezer, and they want to set alerts when it's been out there for too long. So again, you can set those alerts, text messages, emails, reports to allow you to know. Maybe as a retailer, you want to know how long your food has been out on the shelf, and when to put it back, or whether actually it's not according to storage and is still out in the back door being waited to, packed in. So lots of different ways of setting alerts and reporting on these solutions. And then, as I say, you can start to create and manage those rules and make them flexible for you. Mark?
Sure, I think, those examples there about the platform, there's loads of different use cases which flow with it. One of the things we've been seeing a great increase in is around corporate IT asset management, especially when people are now working at home and they're requesting IT assets such as a new laptop, a new phone, a new headset, etc. Tracking those items and knowing exactly which ones have gone to which people. So then when they leave, they have got an exact record of exactly that item. And if it returns or they give it to someone else, there's the evidence that they have handed it in and not taken it with them. So whether that's a laptop, whether that's a server, or whether that's in a shoe store, knowing that every shoe is on display to make sure, all those things we can track and trace all the way through. Or even it could be the most basic scenario of a barcode. We can also track that through. As you can see, we support any form basically of technology, whether it's a GPS tag, whether it's a passive or a barcode, Bluetooth, ultra wideband, all these different technologies we can take in together and do that. We have a platform to support healthcare and different solutions within the healthcare market. This has been a big growth within hospitals and private trusts. So again, if you have anything within that area, we can support with it. Asset tracking applications are, from anything from tracking a person, an engine, a car, a product, a shoe, etc. It could be anything. We're more than happy to look at what that asset is you're looking to see where it last seen. Maybe it's just knowing it was last seen here. Maybe you need to know precisely it's here now. I'm doing a project today with a car dealership to know exactly where their cars are throughout that process to make sure that a customer comes to collect the car at the right time, because they can't have too many people in their waiting room at one time now. So lots of different solutions there. Material flow, we do a lot of work to make sure the right products are in line-side replenishment. So if you have a line-side replenishment solution that you have today that you're looking to change from pen and paper, we can support with that. Within the yard, knowing which vehicles have arrived on site. Again, you need to know which workers have arrived at your site to make sure if a COVID outbreak comes, you know which vehicles arrived and who was driving that car. No more is it good just to know the registration plate. You need to know who's actually in the cab of that truck. So we can look at doing a check-in, check-out kiosking solution. And then other assets that people want to manage, or medical equipment, all these type of things. I think the whole message is whatever the asset is, wherever it is, and whatever you're looking to gain from it, using a range of technology, whether it's a scanner, a barcode reader, an RFID reader, a mobile computer, we can track and trace that and know exactly where it is along the platform. So I'll hand over to Alex to do a wrap up.
Thanks, Mark. So I think in summary, what we're trying to help you understand is that our organisations working together with yourself can start to use technology to just create a bit more visibility of the assets you've got in your business. Perhaps they're underused, perhaps they're used too much, perhaps you don't know the status of them, and when you need them, they're not available to you. We can also help you protect your staff by making scenarios as contactless as possible, using the technology we've got available, whether it's tagging technology or mobile device technology, and the management platform we've got to manage them. I think there's an opportunity for us to provide flexible solutions in scenarios where you've got engineers that require something different to office staff that require something different to the warehouse. The ability to have a flexible solution that sits along all of the platforms and allows you to start digitizing that whole journey within your business is really important. It's something you want to build on over time. So this isn't a technology that's going to come and go. What we're doing here has been established for 15 or 20 years, but it requires people with a need and a problem. I think with the pandemic in place at the moment, some of those needs are sped up, whether that's more click and collect because e-commerce has become more popular, or less ability to go on site and field service. In the end, we want to build a better and safer way of utilising your assets, and we want to increase the control you've got over those assets by providing key workflows, using our own applications or the partners that Zebra work with to provide those new workflows that you might want to help your business collect the right data and use it properly. And then in the end, that better visibility of those assets and the performance of them allows you to just be able to use what you've got, manage your inventory better, save money and increase efficiency. So I don't think there's any more we want to say other than that. Thanks very much for tuning in. If there are any questions, then I'm not sure if we're seeing them now or we're answering them later on. But thanks very much for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Alex, for the session, and happy to do any form of consultancy or walkthrough with you within your operation. Please let us know and how we can help.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, and hopefully we'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.